And so the narcissist pattern of behavior is purely driven, their addiction to admiration and this attention from these people or this person. And day in, day out, it fills their thoughts, it fills their needs. It's all they think about, all they want to do. I mean, they just create this chaos, these scenarios, so that they are able to elicit the attention that they need. The narcissist knows that they can't keep up this pretense forever because, let's face it, you know, even when you're acting or when you're pretending, I'm not saying in terms of narcissistic terms, like, you know, maybe at school you've been acting or with friends you've been acting, you've been doing something, it takes a lot of energy, doesn't it? It takes a lot of energy to be able to keep up this pretense going all the time. And so the narcissist has to stop. They can't go on. I mean, they just use up all their energy resources. And remember, we talked about the cycles of behavior with the narcissist. This is when their energy supplies will be rather depleted, so they will need to have time to recuperate from that. And this is when they retract from society. You won't see them for a little bit, you won't hear from them. They will probably sit in a darkened room for a little while and just get their thoughts together. I was about to swear then, but they'll get their thoughts together, they'll get themselves back on track again so that they are, again, refreshed, replenished and ready to go out for the kill again. The narcissist then begins their vicious attack whilst they're trying to get away from their supply. They will devalue them, they will cause arguments, they'll come out of nowhere. They will start to attack the very things that attracted them to their source of supply. Their innocence, their ambivalence, their kind-heartedness, their wisdom, their warm-heartedness, knowledge and energy. And despite how much you try and be absolutely lovely and bend over backwards for the narcissist, they will continue to put you down because they want to get rid of you, devalue you and just run away from you. Part of the reason of wanting to kill off the individual, I'm not talking literally, maybe in some cases it would have been literal, but they want to kill off this supply because in order for them to give away part of the con, they will have to reveal something of themselves. Now, a narcissist will never reveal anything about themselves. This is why it's part of the game. They want to keep this hidden for as long as possible, for years in fact. And in order for them to keep this going, or this kind of friendship, relationship going, their narcissist has to be intimate or give some kind of information about themselves. But the narcissist will never want to do that because that means that they have to be intimate, they have to open up. And you know, and I know, that if they do that, if they open up and reveal something of themselves, this weakens their power because they're able to be vulnerable with another person, and they will never do that. They will never try to lose control or be vulnerable with another person. However, for the narcissist, treating somebody like this, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any sense of validity because people are objects and they are transposable. You can get a new one. And it's for them to be able to keep this source of supply going. Because the narcissist is truly unable to have any empathy and be intimate with you, their behaviours become rather strange and rather bizarre. And I guess that's when you start to realise that there is something seriously wrong. But at that point then, you've already been played, the damage has already been done, I guess. And so as in any healthy relationship, once the supply understands what is going on, they start to fight in this relationship, starts to fight for their survival. They could even fight for the survival of the relationship. So the victim then starts to challenge the narcissist. And then the survivor is met, or the victim is met with more rage. And so what happens for the narcissist, because the narcissist already has realised that they want to get out of this relationship, they then see that their victim is also not playing ball and they're not giving them their admiration and their source of supply. Until the narcissist is able to find a good high-grade supply, if they ever do, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have to just settle with low-grade supply, but kind of more plentier of it, more plentiful measures of it. So I'm talking about prostitutes, I'm talking about family members, friends, that sort of thing, or co-workers or employees, they're never able then to go on to have this relationship, because having that admiration, having that attention, of course that's what they crave, but not always is it possible for them to be able to get another girlfriend or boyfriend that will give them that primary source of supply. Remember, even though they've got that, it doesn't stop there. They will go and find more sources of supply that are on hand, and those are the secondary supplies. Once they have more secondary supplies, I guess it's enough to sustain them, but they're never able to get back that supply that they want, that they crave. It's not a good grade supply. So what I mean is that don't always go on to move on to another. It just means that they find other uses for other people that are around them to be able to get that source of supply. But when they are not feeling so great, when they're dysphoric, it means that they haven't got any supply, or not very good grade supply around them. And this feeling of dysphoria that they have will be inescapable for them. They can't hide it. No matter how much they try, they just can't hide it, they can't escape it. It haunts them. And so when the narcissist doesn't have this supply, they have mood swings, they cannot sleep, they have elevated levels of stress, anxiety, depression, all of this darkness. And they will look out of control, they will look disheveled. And so they then turn to their addictions like, drinking, drugs, excessive shopping. And then they become even more detached from the sense of reality, and they enter into this world of fantasy. And you will be able to tell by the way that they talk, the way that they behave. And this is why they tend to stay in at this time and have no social contact, because some of them are quite aware that they are very odd, and so they don't want people to see. But some won't be aware, as acutely aware, and so they will interact socially, or people will see them, and they will notice the change in them. Then this is what happens. These psychotic episodes begin to manifest themselves. They then begin to lose grip on reality and themselves. And then it becomes very much more evident how really disturbed these individuals are. And so whilst this is going on, at some point the narcissist will feel a change, and they will change the way that they think, and they will emerge again from this cycle of hibernation. But again, they're going to be very weak. They're going to be looking for supply. And so the cycle begins again. Supply is supply. I guess supply, if you look at it, it's like a drug. Doesn't matter where it comes from, what type of drug it is, as long as it's attention, as long as the admiration they're getting, they're happy about that.